Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today it's time for Week 2 rankings. We're going to do quarterbacks and running backs on today's show. And Jeff, how much more do you know going into Week 2 than you did Week 1?
If I had to put a percentage on it, probably like 2%.
Yeah, right? I feel like I know nothing yet.
I'm still going heavily off my other ranks because, especially we're about to talk about quarterback.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, they did not show us a whole lot.
No, and it's so hard to know what Week 1 meant because these defenses that have stepped up, we don't know, are they really legitimate or is the offense bad? There's so many of these situations out there. Was Detroit's defense good, or was Arizona's offense that bad? Was, Houston's offense that terrible, or was Jacksonville's defense just that good? It's just same thing with Green Bay and Seattle. All these interesting situations that we didn't quite expect. Hard to know what they really are. So when we go through these ranks, and we're going to be probably saying a few times, I'm just not sure. We're just not sure. I don't like to give false information out there that I'm extremely confident in a thing for not, because we don't have the information to go off of yet. So it's just a tough thing. And
let's be honest, this is why I'm going to lean on, the people I know that are tried and true. And, if they, get less by a couple points, I'm very willing to take that and be sure of myself, then try to take a guess on someone that's had one good week.
Yep.
And hurt yourself in the long run.
Yeah, it's we're going to know more and more as we go on the next couple of weeks, and then it's really much easier to form opinions. It's just hard to right now when everything's brand new. You just don't know. So, there's only a couple guys I feel like I'm even really confident in, but we'll get to those in a minute. But make sure you check us out on Twitter at the FF Prophet. Fantasy Football Prophet is our Instagram account. You can also go to the website fantasyfootballprophet.com. We'll keep our ranks up to date there. We'll be changing them all the time. Stuff happens, news happens. Our ranks pretty much get changed within a couple of hours of that. We're trying to be up to date right up to game time. Also, if you have any questions for us heading into the games, make sure you just hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, email us wherever. We'll try to answer as many of those start sit questions as you have. They're not easy, but if you have just a one-on-one player rank, just check out our ranks. It'll tell us exactly who we think. Maybe you agree with me more. Maybe you agree with Jeff more. If you listen a little bit, you might agree with one of us more than the other. We'll have both of our ranks up there, so check them out. But let's start with quarterbacks. Any change at your number one spot for this week, Jeff?
No,
right.
Aaron Rodgers, right?
It is. And he, it wasn't a great performance for Green Bay offensively, but they were going against Seattle. It should be a pretty good defense. So he did well for that, playing against that defense, and there's no reason not to put him number one.
Yeah, and we were just joking about how we don't know what defenses are what. We know Seattle's a very solid defense.
Yep, at the very least. And Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter. Even if he had 5 points last week, he was going to be my number one quarterback this week. We've had enough track record with him to know that's where he should be.
Yeah, one week is not going to change my mind about Aaron Rodgers. And I'll be honest, even though they didn't look like the Packers of the past right away, the things I saw from them, I really think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be playable on that team. And, I'm not saying anything crazy because everyone already knew that, right? But I think even more so. I think Ty Montgomery, we know that he's actually going to get a lot more touches than, that was the worry. Randall Cobb, to Craig's credit, I hate to give it to you right away, but the guy looked like, Randall Cobb of old. And, and Devontae Adams is still there. Jordy Nelson still looks sharp as ever. So, my gosh, is there a lot of people to like on that offense?
Yep, so he's going to stay number one. All right, but the rest of the top five is where we get very interested in what's going to go on. So what's your top five here? I'm going to see if we differ, how much we differ.
Sure. And the top four are probably not going to surprise anyone. I have Aaron Rodgers. I have Tom Brady going against New Orleans after, you saw what Bradford did to him. Matt Ryan going against Green Bay. And then Drew Brees going against New England, which Alex Smith looked really, really good against. And I think he has a bounce-back game. And then Derek Carr at number 5 going against the lowly Jets.
All right, so I went Brady number 2. I went Brees number 3, Ryan number 4. Okay. So just switch those two around, which we seem to do a lot with those players. My number 5 this week was Derek Carr. So Right?
Dude, at some point we will differ.
Yeah, we don't go over these ranks at all before we have not talked about these ranks at all. So it just, we both like the matchup. It's against the Jets. And when you get to this range, I think of quarterbacks, you're always probably going to, in this range, you're going to pick who you think is probably the best matchup.
And, we joked about that, but I think we're about to have a couple more. Go ahead and hit me.
I don't know. I don't know if we will.
You don't think so?
Maybe not the next one.
Hit me up with your...
Number 6 is Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I didn't know if you'd be going there. Stafford, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Ben Roethlisberger, which I'm really hesitant on.
Okay.
I might be moving him down. I don't really know yet.
We are a bit different then.
I figured this is where it's going to differ.
It's not that crazy, but I have Jameis Winston going to Chicago.
Yep.
Russell Wilson, number 7.
Okay, good. And the matchup.
Yeah, I'm a real, I've been really, really low on Wilson, but San Fran.
Yep.
And then after Russell Wilson at number 7, I went Phillip Rivers at number 8.
Yep.
And then number 9, I have Kirk Cousins. I'm keeping the faith against that Rams, who actually did really, really well, but I still like Kirk Cousins. And then I have Stafford, number 10, going against the Giants, who are a solid defense.
And actually think about it, I'm going to probably be moving Roethlisberger down. That Minnesota defense is solid. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I do have Roethlisberger, number 11. So
not too far.
And they're at home. And he's one of them that I was contemplating moving up, but Stafford did really, really well. And the other guys just have better situations.
Yep.
So.
Well, and then I have Cousins 11 and Rivers 12, so those are the next guys anyway.
So we're not that far.
They're right there. I'm still... I got to get something off my chest here before we get going. Jeff, I'm actually quite angry with you that you talked me into Kirk Cousins this offseason.
Dude, 1 week.
It confirmed my prior notion about Kirk Cousins not being a good NFL quarterback. And I got talked into putting him in my top 10 rankings for the year. And I can't believe it happened to me. Because Kirk Cousins, man, it's just not good. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. If this happens in another couple weeks.
Another couple, and
if it happens this week, if it goes this week, they're on the road against the Rams. Maybe it could.
I mean, Rams looked really, really good last week.
I'm going to be very disappointed in myself for somehow getting that notion in my head that this was an actual quarterback. Like, come on. This guy lost himself money. He's not going to get that long-term deal.
To be fair, though, he did struggle, but so did Tom Brady. It's not like we're that far off. Like the people.
Tom Brady's 40, though.
So we're talking about the guy that just won the Super Bowl. We didn't learn anything about quarterbacks last week.
I hope no one thinks I'm really that serious about that. But no, it's 1 week. We don't know what it is. I've never thought Kirk Cousins is just this amazing quarterback. Maybe just in NFL terms, not fantasy terms, he's always good, I think.
Yeah, and
I don't know where he's at if you're just talking just NFL football, just football. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not the greatest judge of that. I think there's some hesitation with me on there, but I think there's enough weapons with that offense where it has to get going. I just worry about the run game. Maybe that's going to be a downfall for him.
It could be, but as far as fantasy goes,
I think they're good enough, and there's enough there.
It's going to help him because he's going to have to sling the ball more and more. And that's what it is. Matt Ryan. Kirk Cousins going into the draft year was, I still believe, I know 1 week, but was a huge just value pick.
Yep.
And after you get past, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, you get in that cluster, and Kirk Cousins can put up major numbers. I know everyone is probably hitting on me right now for that Kirk Cousins advice, but trust me, he will pay dividends. I have no doubt about it.
All right, let's go to the top 20. We'll just list them off quick. We'll see if anybody stands out that we should talk about at all.
All right.
All right, what do we got here? Let's see, I'll go mine. I had Cousins 11, Rivers 12. Then I went Cam Newton 13. I went Tyrod Taylor 14. Carson Wentz 15. Eli 16. Alex Smith 17. Dak Prescott 18. Jay Cutler 19. And Sam Bradford 20th. So it's just all up in the air. No, don't want to put these guys. What do you got going there?
So I have at number 11, I have Roethlisberger.
Yep.
Number 12, I do have Mariota. I know it's going against Jacksonville, and he didn't throw a touchdown last week, but I still think in parts of it he looked really, really good. I think they'll bounce back a bit. Cam Newton at number 13, so I'm right there with you. Then I have Eli Manning against Detroit, and I know they look bad, but OBJ is supposed to be back.
And he's at home. Yes. Monday night. Feels like a good game for him.
And then Tyrod Taylor.
Okay, so we're close with all those guys. Where do you put Wentz? You buying any of this Wentz thing from last week? But he's playing at Kansas City, so it's tough.
Yeah, he's at Kansas City, so I have him all the way down at 20.
Yeah, I can see that. Then, did you put Alex Smith up there at all? Did he move your ranks?
Actually, to tell you the truth, he didn't move up that much. So I think he showed up at number 18 for me.
No, he's 17 for me. What about Dak? I put Dak 18. Is that low for me, or is?
And he's an interesting one.
Because going against Denver.
Yeah,
at Denver.
He didn't play poorly, but he's going against Denver. So he's what, number 16 for me.
Okay, so we're not far off on a lot of these. We're pretty close. And then the rest of them, I'm just done with Andy Dalton until I see it after that kind of game. I know bad games happen, but he scored negative 3 points, fantasy points, 5 turnovers. I got to see something from him before I'm confident in him again to even put him in my top 20 at this point. I'm just that far down on him.
I agree. I mean, I have Carson Palmer one spot ahead of him because he's going against Indiana. So, and you know how much
I have Palmer 21st. I have Dalton 22nd.
Exactly what I have.
Okay, I'm disappointed I don't have Palmer higher. That was such a good matchup. I just can't do it. And then even Flacco, I have 23rd, which should be a good matchup with Cleveland because I feel like Baltimore is going to try to run the ball the way they looked in that first game. So, and we talked about this if you listen to the waiver show. We talked about streaming quarterbacks this level. There's just no one to go off of. So these players, there's just not much here.
Yeah, and I mean, you were a little higher on Goff than I have been. Did he go up your ranks at all?
He's 24th this week.
Okay.
Which actually drops. He's actually 3 spots lower than I had him last week. I had him 21st last week.
Well, you weren't really wrong. He played really well.
It's just, I'm going to keep him down there. I mean, he needs to do more before I put him up. But, yeah, it's interesting. We don't know yet what's going to happen. We got to see some of these guys down there. Maybe Wentz, maybe Goff. Maybe they do something. Maybe Bradford. If Bradford comes out this week and does it again, we're going to have to rethink where we're putting him in the rankings. I mean, he's going to maybe have to move up. And if Eli has another bad game with Odell there this time, we're going to have to start reconsidering that one too and even dropping him further. I mean, it's not like we're starting Eli anyway.
Yeah.
And you just have to kind of maybe take it even off we're not even going to think about him anymore. So that's about it for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, they don't change too much. Hopefully we'll get some more information coming up soon. But running backs is where it gets interesting, except probably the top. What do you got number 1? Who are you going with?
Number 1, Le'Veon Bell.
All right.
I know he struggled, but I'm going Bell still because, once again, I think Pittsburgh's going to get back on track. Bell's way too good in order to drop him too far down. If you had, like, Elliott above him, even Gordon, McCoy, maybe. See, I can't even buy it. I still Le'Veon number 1.
I went Bell number 1. I went Zeke number 2. And I thought about it for maybe a half a second about putting Bell number 2 and Zeke number 1 because of Bell going against Minnesota. And Minnesota held the Saints running game in check quite easily. But it's the Saints run game and we don't really know anything about it. I can't make, an assumption based off how the Saints did that, they're just going to stop everybody. Because, Minnesota has a good defense, but, I mean, Ingram, Peterson, Kamara, maybe, I don't know if we should expect anything from them, so I can't do it yet, but, they're still 1-2. Who cares? It's not like we're saying Zeke's that much worse of a player than Bell.
No.
He's right there. Did you put Zeke? Was Zeke number 2?
Zeke is number 2.
All right,
and we had talked about this a little bit, actually, and, we're it's one of those things where you have to remember how good defenses are. Yep. And, Denver rings, in your head, and you're like, they're really, really good. And, but you go back into the statistics, and, Craig was digging back in there for me as we were going through some of this stuff. And it's very evident that their passing defense was phenomenal.
Amazing last year.
But their run defense, because of that, people just pounded out. So Zeke is going to get plenty of attempts. So even though you see Denver at Denver, don't immediately shy away.
Yep.
Not that you wouldn't be starting Elliott anyway, but.
So who's the rest of your top 5?
All right. Number 3, I have Gordon. Number 4, McCoy. And number 5, Freeman. So really no surprises for me in the top 5.
I actually went Bell, Elliott, McCoy, Gordon, Jay Ajayi.
Okay.
Number 5. I guess it's just we haven't seen him last week. We didn't see him disappoint last week. And the Chargers run defense, nothing special. Yeah. So I'm going to put him there. I actually went Fournette number 6 because I think he's just going to keep getting the ball. And the volume alone is going to keep him up there. Then Freeman was my 7th. Was the Green Bay defense the reason the Seahawks run game struggled so much? Probably not. That offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, but what about Atlanta last week? Their run game really didn't get going too much. I think maybe it's a 1-week thing on the road, opening game.
Freeman still did fine. He still got his, and that's kind of what I expect.
He's still a top 10 guy for me. But here's where it gets interesting. The rest of my top 10, 8, 9, and 10 is where it gets 8 and 9 for sure. Number 8, Marshawn Lynch this week for me. Number 9, Kareem Hunt. And then number 10 is DeMarco Murray. What do you got there in your top? What are you thinking?
Actually, because of the matchup, I actually have a Lynch number 6 this week.
Okay, see, so I thought having him 8, he looked good. He looked like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and in Oakland, their offense looked fine, and the Jets are really, really
they're terrible.
And their offense is poor, so they're going to get a lot of attempts at it. No matter how I break it down, either Oakland gets a lead and they'll want to run more, and Lynch will get, a nice load of carries, or hey, they're going to be so good that they're going to eventually be on the 1-yard line once, and Lynch will get a touchdown, and then I don't have to worry about anything. So I think no matter how it plays out, Lynch is in a great position. So number 6, Ajayi did come as number 7. Yep. We haven't seen anything, but he has the huge playability. Fournette, going against Tennessee, is a decent defense as far as I've seen, but I love his workload. I have him a little bit lower than Craig, but number 8 is nothing to sneer at. And then I have Montgomery at number 9.
Okay, wow.
And this is a tough one for me too, because he is going to be a player that's really difficult to figure out how he's going to fit in always. But they used him more than I even expected last week. I think it's going to be it could turn into a shootout, and then that would really help Montgomery. But he's one of them that he could drop out of the top 10 for me. But right now, number 9, because, they could put up a lot of points. And then number 10, Kareem Hunt, after obviously that wonderful performance he had.
Yeah, I almost feel like we're being too reactionary almost with Kareem Hunt. But I don't think we are. I mean,
no, he looked wonderful. Will Alex Smith really play that good of a game? I think it's going to turn a little more into grind him out. But Kareem Hunt looked wonderful. He's going to get the bulk of the carries.
Yep. So, I think he needs to be a top 10 guy this week. I'm going to pick and choose some other players here, see where you got him. Where do you got Jordan Howard?
I'm number 13.
13. I have him 12th, so I'm actually a little higher.
Oh, wow.
And it's just because I don't like the players around him, I guess.
Well, here's a good question then. You have him number 12. Do you have Cohen? Where do you have him at?
I have him 27th.
Okay, so I have him 28th, so I moved both of them a little bit back. But that's about right?
Yep,
I don't think
so.
People should overreact on the Cohen. I mean, right now we have him as a backside number 3 running back, and I think that's a very good place to put him.
Yep. Especially we'll see. I want to see another week of it, but down there I don't like the options, so I'm probably playing him over them.
Exactly. That's the other thing is when it gets down that far,
it's ugly, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they throw as many balls to Cohen as you think they might, I mean, you take last week and then you add a few.
Yep.
He could easily surpass a lot of these guys. Because right now you get down there and you're by like Powell, Kelly, Tevin Coleman. I mean, it's very, very easy. Or Mark Ingram. I mean, those guys are all around. They're blown.
Powell didn't do anything.
No. Nope. And Kelly really didn't do anything.
No, either. Kelly. I mean, I'll just say someone like Robert Kelly. I have 35th. He's way down there for me this week. Let's see. Some other players I'm curious about. What about Crowell? What do you do with Crowell? I think he looked great, and he's playing against Baltimore at Baltimore.
No, I actually have Crowell at number 20.
Okay, I have him 18, so we're both down there. Gillislee. What do you got with Gillislee?
Gillislee makes number 15.
All right, and I had him 19, but after seeing what Cook was able to do against New Orleans, maybe he moves up a couple spots. Just not sure how. I'm still not sure how that offense is going to work. Yeah, I'm being hesitant because I want to see what they do and if he becomes more than just a goal line back. But even just a goal line back, he's value because I don't like these players.
I know. And it's rough, too, because at 15, he pretty much has to score a touchdown.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. But I think he has that value. Some other guys. Terrence West, did he move up at all for you?
I mean, he did because he was going against Cleveland.
Right.
I actually have him at 16, which is probably the highest.
I had him 23rd, but for me, that's extremely high.
It's one of those things, though. You look at the other guys, and you start hitting guys that have bad matchups, and you're not so sure about them. So Terrence West, if Woodhead is still a little banged up, he's just going to get a buttload of carries. And I don't think he's that good of a player. But, I mean, they're going to grind it out. They're not going to throw it that much. Unless, Buck Allen really, even Buck Allen had 21 carries last week, and Terrence West still had, a ton. It doesn't
still at 19.
Matter.
Yeah, it's just, there's so many things. We're going to keep saying this. I need to see it again. But you really do. You can't make snap judgments on this stuff. You have to be, that's what I think in fantasy football, you can't just be so reactionary to everything. Stuff happens one week. And week 1 is just another week, really, when you think about it. And if stuff happens week 8, people will react to it, but not as crazy probably. Week 1, I think people just react to everything so much more, but just kind of wait and see these things and see what happens.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys that we had, ranked relatively high in the preseason, some of them, like Howard, he took a little bit of a hit, right? But at the same time, we still have him 12 and 13.
And he's still going to get the goal line work, I think, there.
Like, even though if he loses a little bit of work, overall he's going to be fine.
Yeah,
like, someone like Delvin Cook, for me, moved up because I saw what he could really do.
Yep.
But once again, you have a couple other guys that can do it behind him, and that's also with Bradford playing extremely well. So it's going to be one of those things where you really start figuring out when they do well. Is it home, away? Is it outside, inside?
Yep.
There's a lot that goes into it that's not always apparent in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like we just don't know enough right now. We're basing this off 1 week of work. It's tough.
Yeah, and it's very easy to go strictly off of points as well. Yep. So like Gillislee, I have Gillislee. I like him. I like his upside, but at the same time, his points are a little misleading because if he if he doesn't get in the end zone, yep. 2 out of 3 times or something. He fought really hard to get in there, but he could have easily just fell short on the 1 yard line, and you take 6 points away from him.
Yep. What about Kerwin Williams? What are you doing with Kerwin Williams? You ranking him at all?
I do, but I have him at number 32 still.
Okay.
I do have him not relative. I have him low for technically a starter. He wouldn't a starter on the Arizona team, not a starter for me.
I have him 26th. And I would have him lower. I like the matchup, I guess, with the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's maybe one of the reasons. But that's about as high as I could ever see putting him. Is about right there. I don't see much more. I actually put Jonathan Stewart 25th. Jonathan Stewart moved up a little bit for me because I think the workload's there for him. I think they showed they were going to be able to give Jonathan Stewart the ball a lot and goal line work and still find a way to get McCaffrey work. McCaffrey's still ranked ahead of him for me. But I think Stewart's going to be serviceable. You can use him, actually.
I do, too, as long as that guy stays healthy.
Yep.
And that's always been his biggest, knock against him.
Then, let's see here. Joe Mixon. Where's Joe Mixon? He's 24th for me.
Actually, I really just don't have a whole lot of faith. And they're going against Houston, too, so I have him all the way down at 34th. I know people are going to hate that.
They're going to probably, but
let me see something first.
Exactly. We both probably think long term. I think when you're looking at like week 8, week 9, I really feel like Joe Mixon is going to be a top 15 back for us every week. I think that's going to happen, but it's not yet, and it might take a while. I mean, think about how Arizona started using David Johnson 2 years ago. It took until the very end of the season for him to be the running back on them. Maybe Cincinnati will do something like that. But if they struggle this badly, they might need to use him quicker. Just use the rookie. Jeremy Hill's not getting it done.
No.
I mean, he's ranked ahead of Jeremy Hill for me. Jeremy Hill's 36th. Jeremy Hill's in that, God, this little range of players. I go Paul Perkins. This is 34 on 34. Paul Perkins, Robert Kelly, Jeremy Hill, Eddie Lacy is probably high. God, where do you put Eddie Lacy? Is there any confidence? I think I have him too high. I have him too high at 37th.
I don't even know where I have the guy. Okay, so I actually have him all the way down at 43.
It works for me.
But, he's going against San Francisco, and I don't even know if he's going to get the most carries on the team.
I don't know if he's going to play more than 10 times in the game.
I don't know what happened to the guy. He's one of them that scares me so much because I don't even know if he's going to get the ball. It's not even if he performs.
Can't play
will he play?
I don't think I can play any Seattle running back. I think that's pretty much what that means. You can't play Rawls. I mean, you don't know how they're going to use anybody. It's kind of, unless someone steps up there eventually, there's no reason to use them. All right, I'm going to go one last player here from LeGarrette Blount. What you do with him?
Oh, man, you're just pulling out everyone I love. Actually, Blount, he made 29, so he's playable for me.
Yeah.
But once again, he's a guy that I'm just banking on in a close proximity.
It's going to be goal line work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he could turn out to be usable because of that. And I gotta give the credit where credit's due, but he actually caught one last game for a touchdown, and it was 1 yard. But they're using him. They haven't shied away from him, so I have to put him accordingly.
And I put him at 28, and I don't like him, but I put him at 28 because obviously he's going to get goal line work, and
They're going against KC, which scares me. This is why I dropped them a little bit, though.
And Smallwood hasn't shown anything yet.
No.
Maybe that'll happen. At this point, I really, really doubt he's anything. I think we know he's pretty much nothing at this point. So, all right, that's all I got for running backs. Unless you have anybody else here that stands out, that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I do kind of wonder where you're putting Todd Gurley. I know people are going to start wondering.
He was my 11th.
Okay, so. He was mine too. And I mean, do you have any concerns whatsoever?
A little bit.
I mean, you kind of have to play him, right?
Yeah, you have to play him. I think he's going to get all the workload. The yards per carry was terrible. What's that mean? I don't really know. But I think there's no one challenging him for that job, and he's able to look like I think he's going to be able to get enough receiving yards to make him worth playing. Again, I think this is what he's going to be this year until he gets a really good offensive line around him. He's going to he might get you 8 points, and that's the thing. But I think that's about what he's going to be minimum 7-8 points. I think he's very, very safe. You know what I mean? Like his floor is going to be like 8. But he still, I think, has that potential to be higher. But hopefully we see some of that. I don't know. I mean, they're obviously still not getting holes for him. He's still not able to find anything. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's Trent Richardson, like I tried to bring up last year. I don't think he's that. I really, really don't. But the more this goes on and the more the 20 carries for 40 yards happens, you got to entertain that idea a little bit, maybe. I think he's much better than that, but... Jeff, we were once in a bidding war for Trent Richardson thinking he was going to be amazing, so shows that we don't really know, right?
Yeah, you play fantasy long enough, you were going to be really wrong at some point, and we were really wrong on him back in the day.
We'll see about Gurley. I'm not sure yet, but all right. I think that's all I got. Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow, talk about wide receivers, a little bit of tight ends, there's not as much there, but we'll talk to you guys then.